up, everybody? A lot of stuff happened since me and Dougie talked to each other, man. We got into it a little bit last time, which, we know we won. I won the 2 arguments, but we got into it. Hey, you can't always get along every time, man. But we're hanging with Mark and Dougie. You know what? We got a great show, man. A lot of things have happened. We had a Super Bowl. We had a Pro Bowl. We had a lot of things. Let me tell you something. Who wants to watch the Pro Bowl? I mean, I watched 2 minutes by accident. I was changing the channels. I watched 2 minutes by accident. They don't touch the quarterback. They don't play defense. Right. They don't do anything. The final score is like 106 to 104. It's just ridiculous. It's just not worth watching. If I want to watch football, you want to watch football. It's like watching NASCAR and they're going 4 miles an hour and let everybody pass. Okay, go ahead. You had the right of way. No. Yeah, it's just like ridiculous.
It's like watching NASCAR where they're using blinkers. And they use they're doing, I want to make a right turn.
Go in. Exactly. It's so ridiculous. And you imagine it's in Hawaii, so people make a vacation out of it. They
right.
Hawaii's not cheap and those tickets aren't cheap. And imagine going to that and not seeing any action at all. And you were saying the basketball was no different, right?
Oh my God. Nobody plays defense. It's like watching a scrimmage game. You know what I mean? It's like if you want something to become obsolete and not even interesting anymore, just do what they're doing. What they changed the format. Where LeBron picks a team and Durant picks a team. They pick 2 players from the league and then they get to pick a team. That's kind of different, better than just saying East versus West. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, God, I mean, what's his name? The shooter from Golden State, Curry.
Curry. He's sick.
He's unbelievable, dude. He had like the most points ever, like 1,000 points. I mean, it's just like, it's not even entertaining. You know what I mean? If anything, you'd just rather watch. I heard their dunk contest was horrible. I heard the dunk contest is. I mean, that's another thing. All right, what can you do? Like, how can you?
Yeah. What can you?
How many different dunks can you do? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
You jump over a car, you grab a quarter, you do all kinds of stuff. Everybody's done it,
Yeah, they should. Next thing you know, they're going to have a guy, strip naked, shove a banana up his ass. And then,
I want to see the transgender dunk contest. The transgender, that would be for high heels, dunking with high heels and a mini skirt with LeBron James in high heels dunking. Now that would be cool. And we're not too far away from this, just so you know. We're not too far away from that. We're all joking about this now, but we're not too far away from men wearing dresses playing in the NBA. We're not too far away. So this country is heading towards that way. I mean, sports have gotten a lot weaker. You can't touch the quarterback. You can touch him between the belly button and his hip, and that's it. You touch him anywhere else, he's done. So
you can touch him after you buy him dinner. If you buy him dinner, you can touch him all you want.
Talking about touching, Juwan Howard did a little touching, I heard.
I actually, it was funny because I caught this game, and Juwan Howard, former player. Right. And now he's a coach and a fight broke out and it was being broken up and it was broken up. And then he reached over and he open-handed punched the assistant coach
on his team, the other team. Wow.
On the other team. Yeah. On the other team. And he's the coach. I mean, what happened? Remember, who's that white guy from Indiana? Knight. Bobby Knight, right? Who threw the chair at the ref. I mean, he got fired eventually, right? I mean, Indiana University let him go. I don't think they let him go after that. And remember, a while back, there was a college football coach that punched another team's player. You remember that? Yeah. And he was fired. Wasn't he fired the minute that happened?
I mean, you should be fired. You have no right putting your hands on another person, man. If you're mad, you're mad. I mean, get over it. You have no right putting your hands. I mean, he's lucky he didn't get knocked out. I mean, you just have no right putting your hands because you don't like a call. You don't like what someone said. I mean, that's criminal charges. If I do that on the street, I go to jail. If I do that on the street, I go to jail. Yeah, it's battery.
Well, hopefully the guy, I guess they were playing Wisconsin. Of course, he was all apologetic after the fact. But this is your coach, and he's supposed to show an example for the players, and he fucking lost his cool. And listen, I hate to see anybody lose their way of being, but you can't strike another fucking human being on a professional. You're in a college, and they suspended him for the rest of the season, which was good because some people are like, "That's ridiculous." It was trying to make excuses.
No
You know, I'm
excuse.
sure I'm sure if it was a different race coach or something, there would have been a lot more, that fucking. But
Yeah.
I suspend him, and then they should obviously look at the idea of firing him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's had a problem in the past doing this.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Well, if you had a problem in the past, you should be gone. I mean, anybody can lose their temper one time; it could happen, But if this is a problem, then you need to get rid of him. You need to get rid of him, and that's it. That's it. There's no discussion about it, man. It's funny. People say words. John Gruden said a word, and a word. He didn't even say a word. He typed a word. He typed
right.
a word years ago, and they were quick to get rid of him. And he was a good coach, and never had a problem that I know of. You might have said he had a couple, but he typed a word. This guy used his physical hands, and people are rooting for him to have a job, and that's not right. I mean, like they say, words won't hurt you, but your fist will. And you know what? He deserves to be suspended, and they need to look at his track record. And if his track record's not good, get rid of him. Get rid of him. Give someone else a job.
Absolutely. You know.
So
Um,
getting So Michael Jordan, I'll tell you what, he has a problem with Barkley, and I get it. Barkley talks a lot of trash, and I love Charles Barkley, and
yeah.
he's harmless, man, and he talks trash. He's funny, and him and Shaq go at it, But I guess Jordan took it to heart what he said, and you told me what he said. What did he say?
Well, I guess while he was Barkley was commenting on doing his show, he's a color commentator.
Mhm.
That I guess that Jordan wasn't doing a great job as an owner. Like he hadn't been
And he
doing
wasn't.
a real good job, and he wasn't. And he called him out, and he got mad at that. And the truth hurts. And I guess if
Yeah.
you're a guy like Jordan, and you're an icon, a real true goat, not like Brady. And if you know what I'm saying, and
Hey, the difference is Brady wouldn't have got mad. Brady wouldn't have cared. Yeah, but go ahead.
that's true.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, I got to interrupt this. I watched something the other day. It was pretty cool. It was Brady sitting down with one of the players from was it the Raiders on the snow game when they
Oh,
played.
Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson. Great,
Yes,
great.
yes. What a great thing
It was
that
good.
was, and they went over that pass that they called an incomplete pass,
Yeah.
and it was just amazing because Brady was like, that didn't touch my hand. It didn't touch. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
But
good.
yeah. Jordan. I mean, so Barkley's like, he's terrible. He's terrible. A terrible owner. I love Barkley. I mean, that's the kind of guy
I
you love
do.
watching. Being
Yeah, yeah,
color, right?
yeah. You know what?
Um,
I like what Barkley says because he speaks from his heart. And he's not that he's malicious. If you're a shitty player, he said Ben Simmons, you're not playing good. You get too much money. He's the guy that just speaks his mind, and I like the guy that speaks his mind. And everybody's so against the guy that speaks his mind. Fuck it. I have no problem with Charles Barkley. I don't care what he says. As
well,
long
isn't
as
that?
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I,
I
I,
said you should have freedom of speech. You should be allowed to say if Michael Jordan is not achieving as a coach and you feel that way, you're allowed to say it. He says he's a great basketball player. So if he's not going to, Jordan can't be great at everything. He sucked at baseball. He was great at basketball. He wasn't a good coach. He was a great player. So you know what? Take it with a grain of salt, and that's it. They make fun of Barkley all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
Jordan, Barkley,
there.
as golf.
I guess it was a weird thing because during that halftime thing at the All-Star game, they had all the greats go up and they were bringing up, and I guess there was a bit of there was some tension too when they had Ray, the guy who played with us, used to play with the Celtics, the guy who hit the fucking three for the
Ray
Heat,
Allen.
Ray
Ray
Allen.
Allen.
I guess Ray Allen and oh God, I can't remember his name. They have a bit of a spiff going, and when he walked up, the other, they were like, he looked like he was going to punch him and shit. But what you're saying about speaking your mind, I've always been that kind of person because my father was that way. If my father had something to say, he'd say it. You know what I mean? He didn't. He felt you were big enough to take it. He felt you were man enough. He would tell it. And my father always said, no one's ever gonna, I'm never gonna have to worry about finding a knife in someone's back with my name in it. Because my dad would just tell somebody to their fucking face that, hey,
I
you're
respect that.
being,
I respect
yeah.
that. I respect.
Some people, but some people can't. I know my wife sometimes gets mad at me because I'll be like, why did you say that? I'm like, because I'm honest. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to pull punches. I'm not going to, because that's the way I like people to treat me. If somebody doesn't like me, I'd rather somebody just stay away and not like in this thing. Like, are you going to
No, there's
avoid like?
nothing worse. Doug, there's nothing worse. Like, I got a neighbor I can't fucking stand. He's an asshole. He's rude and everything. There's nothing worse, and he's just an asshole to everybody. There's nothing worse than someone who doesn't like you that comes up and say, "Hey, Mark, how you doing? How's the family?"
Mm.
No, don't ask me how my family is because I don't like you and you don't like me. So you just stay away from me. I'll stay away from you, and that's it. You know.
How do you treat
But go
that
ahead.
when that happens? How do you do that when somebody
Uh,
comes up to you and somebody like I know exactly because everybody has that.
yeah.
Especially in comedy, there's comics that'll they're talking shit about you, and then you'll see them like, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" You're like, "Get the fuck out
Yeah,
of
I
here,
mean,
dude."
you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. I avoid him because I have nothing nice to say. He's just a prick, and I get along with everybody, but I avoid him because I know with me it can get physical because I don't like him that much. He said a
Yeah.
couple things to my wife, and I didn't like it, but on the phone, on the email, obviously not to her face, I would have knocked them out. But he always tries to say hi to me, and I can't. It's sometimes it's a normal reaction when someone says, "I don't care if it's Hitler," you raise your hand because it's like, it's a normal
I guess
reaction.
so.
Like, hi,
Hi,
yeah.
Hitler.
Hey,
Hi, Hitler.
yeah, I guess that was a bad analogy. One of my
Yeah.
worst analogies yet.
My-
But you automatically, maybe they were doing that. They automatically raised their hand. Who knows? Maybe they didn't like him. But the problem is sometimes you'll say hi and automatically like hi, even if you don't like somebody. But him, he's the one person he says hi. I'm like, fuck you. I walk past him. I just don't like the guy. And instead of having a confrontation with him, I'd rather just avoid him. Back in the
yeah.
old days, I would have more confrontation. As I get older now, I want less
Yeah.
headaches. I have less confrontation. Be the
That's
bigger
good. I
man.
mean, I was recently at a gathering of comics not too long ago, and there's one particular comic that was there, and I don't know. I have no idea why this person doesn't like me. He's one of these people out of a certain area of Florida, Miami, that doesn't like it because I'm professional. I work. You know what I mean? I'm outspoken, and I think it's the political stuff. I'm sure it was based on the political stuff from the 2020. And this guy was there, and you could tell him he wasn't going to say hi. You could tell this guy wasn't going to say hi, but I'm like, you know what? Hey, what's up? And by his name, I said, hey, what's up, dude? He's like, yeah. And for a second there, I felt like saying, you know what? I'm only saying that because I'm a fucking nice person, and you're a fuck face.
Yeah.
And if you want, he's a big dude too. So I don't want to get into a fight with anybody. You know what I mean? Physically. But when it's a big dude that's an asshole, yeah, I just can't get away with that. I was always like that because I would always be that smaller guy that ended up beating the shit out of somebody. You know what I mean? And it was just a good feeling that when you have a big guy who thinks he's all tough and shit, and you just basically, knock him
Yeah.
to the street. It's a good
Well, you
rewarding
know what?
feeling.
You always want to be a big guy because if you pick a fight with a little guy and he kicks your ass, that's not good. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If it's a little midget, it's like, hey, what the fuck? And he knocks you out. You're like, there's no win there. There's no win at
Yeah.
all. You beat him up, you look like an idiot. He beats you up, you look like an idiot. But
Yeah.
we're getting to the age now, man, where we had our time, we did our thing. Now it's time to just be the bigger person, relax. It's hard. I'm saying that, but it's hard for me even to do that. My
Yeah.
wife's like, why can't you just be the bigger person? Because it's hard. It's hard when someone's that much of a prick to muster up enough energy.
It depends on how big of a prick that person is. Number one. Number two, the mood you're in. Because you could be in a good mood and you'd be like, but you could be like a little miffed and a little pissed and be like, this is gonna end now. This ends now.
Hey,
This is not going on any further than that. There's points I've had that points where I've had that that voice in my head said, let it pass. I said, nope, this ends today.
Yeah.
This ends today.
Hey, talking about beating things up, man. What about Peterson? He's beating everybody up. He beat his kid up with a stick, beat his wife up at the airport. Grandma better watch out. Grandma better hide out. He's coming for everybody. He got his son, he got his wife. What's wrong with this guy? Seriously. He must be on too many steroids. Well, that
anger
steroids,
management.
man,
Anger management.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got roid rage.
This
I think
is
he's got.
this is the NFL. They're perfect people. This is the NFL. They do no wrong. They do no wrong. They're about peace. No hate. Stop hate. Unless it's your wife, your kid, then beat the shit out of them. But stop hate with everybody else.
And it was on an
But this
airplane
guy,
too, right? I mean, it was on an airplane.
yeah. And this guy's got a history, man. I don't know why he's not in jail. I mean, this guy, first of all, who hits a woman, first of all? I mean, seriously, who hits a woman? That's the first thing, There's never a reason to hit a woman. I don't care what it is. There's never she has a gun or a knife. Yes, that's about it. And and you're talking about the balls. I mean, smack her around on a plane where everybody's watching, or the airport, wherever it was. I mean, that's a lot of balls. That's just going to show you don't give a fuck. And this is after getting arrested a couple of years back for taking a stick to your kid. So this guy's got issues, man. And, a lot of people say it's got to do with brain injuries and stuff, but I don't know. I don't see Joe Namath beating people up. I don't see Joe Montana beating anybody up. So Is it
Yeah,
really the brain damage? I
but
don't know.
Joe Namath played football when the average weight of the lineman was like 180 pounds. I mean,
Yeah,
these are much bigger.
they also play with a leather cap, and they were also allowed to hit you anywhere, kick you, and spit on you.
Yeah,
Yes, it was a little different time both ways. I mean, they had a lot of less.
face mask.
They had less exactly. And let me tell you something. They had a lot less protection. A lot less protection. They were allowed to do a lot more. They were allowed to spear. They were allowed to hit you in the head. I mean, I see old videos
Yeah.
of Deacon Jones where he smacks the shit out of people. It grabs the face. There was no face mask back then. You grab the face when you yank them down by their head. I mean, it was a different time, bro. I'm not going to tell
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form going to knock the 50s, 60s, and 70s compared to today. No way.
Well, did
It was
Peterson still play? Is Peterson still playing, or is he retired?
I think he retired from the Seahawks last year. I'm almost positive this was
Yeah,
last year. Yeah,
yeah,
I
because
don't
for years he was with the
Vikings.
Vikings, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, there's not a guy on earth that hasn't wanted to hit a woman. You know what I mean? At some point,
Yeah, but
there's a
you
guy.
told me so.
I know there isn't a moment. There's not a guy on earth who didn't have a reason or didn't want to. But that is
Just don't.
the distinguishing difference between a man and a creep and an asshole.
And
You know,
that's
I don't care.
the one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I don't care how many good things you do. The minute you strike a woman, like you said, unless she's robbing you, got a gun to your head, you know.
And he's a big guy. He's a big guy, man. I
Yeah.
mean, he's too big to be swinging on kids and women, man. Let's swing on someone his size. You know what I'm saying? You're in the and that's the one thing I will not tolerate. And I'll take an ass whooping, if it takes it. If it takes it, I will never let a guy hit a woman in front of me. I don't care what it is. I won't let it happen. I
Yeah.
will definitely interfere. And if I get my ass kicked, I will. But I will defend that woman. Or a child. I mean, listen, a child getting smacked in the ass, I have no problem with that. But if you open fist a kid, there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with you. There really is. And this won't be talked about too much. It just won't, but it should be. This should be. Domestic abuse should be talked about a lot more. It should. Talking about that, go on. What was going on with that creep, and I'll call him a creep, in New York City that punched that little kid? Just walked by and punched that kid in the face.
You know, the great part about this, the great thing about this story was the mom wasn't having it. The mom chased the guy down and started like beating the crap out of him. And then her friend did too. And the kid was just sitting there like, oh, mommy, you know what I mean? And it was great. It's, that is what we need. People are going to have to stand up to these folks that are doing these things.
Real quick. I'm gonna shout out to that fucking scumbag guy with the red jacket on that walked right. If you watch the video, there's a white guy walking by with a red jacket that just watched the whole thing and walked by with his girlfriend. If I was his girlfriend, I would have said, "You little creep. You watched this guy hit this little boy and you walked away." What a creep he is. And whoever is out there, whatever your name is, whoever watched this show, call this guy out. Because if you watch the video, he's wearing a red jacket, walks right past like nothing's going on, and watched the whole thing. He watched the whole thing.
So Mark, you're saying you wish you were that guy's girlfriend?
I'll tell you what. I
wish he was his girlfriend?
I would have smacked him around. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how, as a man, to walk by and watch that, to watch a random stranger, and it had to be race motivated. It had to be. A random 4-year-old white kid, a black guy just punches him in the face. I mean, that's got to be race motivated. And why is nobody talking about that? Well, that's race motivated. Listen, I don't like racial on any side. But you call out one side, call out the other side. That has to be race motivated. You don't just pick a 4-year-old kid and then punch him in the face. And this guy had problems before. This guy had issues before. Priors, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of priors, this guy. And then the problem with that is that they don't call that out. It was like when the knockout game was going on. It's like when all these Asian people were being attacked, on the streets, and still are. They're not white people beating them up. These aren't Caucasians. These are black people that are fucking pounding the fucking Asians. And no one will bring that up. Why? Because the that race is being coddled. That race is being, and as somebody would say, I'm sure somebody on the left would go, well, they've been through a lot and it's unfair. And we're all on the same fucking earth. We are in the 21st fucking century. We've had,
if that was the case, it happened before. Hold on, Doug. If that was the case and it happened before, then you should know better. You wouldn't want it to happen again. If something happened to you before, then you really wouldn't want it to happen again. So you definitely wouldn't want to punch another kid because you know what it feels like. Okay.
Right.
So, and let me tell you something 2022, these people don't know what anything feels like. Let me tell you some shit went down in the 1800s. We all know about it. We all know about it. But believe me, they don't let us not know about it. Okay. It went on all the way to the 70s. I get it. It was a bad time. I get it. But we have evolved. We have evolved as people. And the only thing that's keeping this going on is the media. And I'll say it again. The only
Right.
thing that's we all love each other, brother. We do. We do. I have no problem with black people, white people. The media wants you to think that there is a problem with it and they're causing more division. They're saying, you have this problem. You've been this, you've been that, and you've been that. And, there is people out there trying to explain that it's not going on. The Candace Owens and all these people explaining it, but
Right.
nobody's listening. That's the problem.
They're off the plantation. Isn't that the example they'll use? Black
All
folks will
equal.
say, well, I'm off the plantation. I'm not buying that shit. And it's good. I mean, listen, like we all know it's there. But even back then, in the 1800s, when this shit was going on, those 400 years, there were still people. There were white people that fought. That's why we had the bloodiest war our country's history was the Civil
Civil War.
War,
That's Civil
because there
War.
were white people that didn't like it. Half the country thought it
Yeah.
was bullshit,
Yeah.
and there was the other half that thought it was okay. So even that far back, we recognized it,
Yeah.
and
But no, I mean,
progressively.
nobody recognizes the Civil War. We don't talk about that. All we talk about is slave owners and this and that. We don't talk about brother helping brother out. We don't talk about that enough because it's a good story. Nobody likes a good story. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and of course it took years, and even to this day, right? But the problem is you don't want to go backwards, like you're saying. And for somebody, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna say, oh, an unarmed black man, was being arrested and the cops beat him up. Well, he was being arrested, and we're gonna get to another story. So first of all, I'm not gonna feel bad. The person was committing a crime. No one deserves to die, and no one deserves like Judge Dredd can kill people on the sign. No, we're not saying that. But enough of the fucking compassion for these fucking criminals. I don't, you know what I mean? And this is where we're starting. This is where the Democratic Party's fallen on its face as we lead into this midterms this year, because no one, the sympathy for the criminal is ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Over
If
with.
you
People,
want to justify wrongdoing, if you want to justify bad behavior, it's going to continue. It's only going to get worse.
yeah.
And
And you give people excuse to have bad behavior. You're like, oh,
yeah,
they had this behavior because of this. No, stop it. Listen, we've talked about this before. There's poor and people not being treated properly in every race. Like you said, Asian people don't get treated. Jewish people forget about it for years and years. I mean, a lot quicker history than the Jewish people than the African American. I mean, they've had 50 years ago, they had issues, and 30 years ago. So, everybody's had something. Slavery came from Africa, so Africa had their own problems, So, Brazil had it. They had it everywhere, but we're trying to move forward. So moving forward, we should be on the same platform. The best
right.
man for the job gets it. White, black, blue, or green. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I agree. If I was walking and I saw that happen, I'm one of those people, that hero concept, you have, you have to react, and, you have
You
to
have to.
react and jump in and say, I mean, if I saw that, I would have
That
clotheslined
should
the
be
guy as he walked.
normal. It should be normal. That should be a normal, decent thing to do. You shouldn't even have to think about it. That should be like if you touch a stove, you pull your hand off. It should be the same thing. If you see that, you should react. If you're a person with a heart and have any empathy for any human being on the planet, you should just react to it. You shouldn't have to think about it. That's something that guy should have been boomed. He should have been there. I'm not saying
The
you should
more
kick
that
the
ha-
guy's ass. You should.
the
Go
more
ahead.
stuff like that happens, the less likely that action will happen. If people stood up and weren't fearful, and weren't, and actually acted upon that, you wouldn't have people doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
You would have, the minute something happens, the person gets beaten up, and fuck that, drag him into the street and beat him to death for all I care. There's
Yeah.
not there's too many people on this earth, and if you can't get along with other people, if you're punching fucking 4 years old, let's make room for someone else.
Yeah.
There's no reason. I don't give a fuck what the person's history is. If you can't walk down the street without punching a 4-year-old, there's what good do you bring? What can you do to counteract that evil?
No.
It's just not. It's like in New York City, they're talking about they got to clear out the homeless in the fucking subways. There are people being slashed and killed in the fucking subways in New York because of this, because of just the enabling of this criminal element and making
Yeah.
excuses for it. That's got to
That's
change,
the
man.
problem. The excuses are the problem. That's the major problem with excuses. I mean, a crime's a crime. You should be treated no matter what color you are the same way. And you know what? You shouldn't be allowed to do something because you're one color and not another color. And right now, at the year of 2022, things have to change and they have to change quickly. And they're trying. I mean, look what Canada's doing. I mean, Trudeau's basically Hitler, but
Oh
look what they're
God.
trying to do. Look what they're trying to do in Canada. People have had enough, and it's going to come here too. The same shit that's going on in Canada is going to come. People, listen. There's a breaking point to everybody. There's a breaking point to everybody, man. Look at Michael Douglas and falling down. He finally had it, man.
Yeah.
He finally
I think
had it. So
you definitely have our country doing that. It's what happened in Canada. This one woman donated $50 to the trucker, and they froze her account. A single mom. This guy Trudeau. I mean,
communism.
this
It's communism.
you talk about somebody being taken in the street. I won't be surprised before too long that the Canadians don't grab this guy and go, "Come on, eh?" drag him by his pretty face and beat the hell out of him, because this guy's a tyrant. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just unbelievable, and I can't wait to find out whether or not the U.S. trucker convoy is going to circle Washington D.C. With the State of the Union address. Today we got to watch our president basically address Russia, because Russia invaded Ukraine into these areas, and they're supposedly, and which is suck because the markets are down, and fucking Putin. Listen, if I want to beat the shit out of somebody, I'm going after Putin. And by the way, I don't know if next time you watch Putin, they show him walking, his right arm is dead. Like his left arm moves, his right arm. Let's hope this guy is about to have a mental stroke. I think there's something might be wrong with him too, and people are saying that about Putin, by the way.
Russia sees weakness right now. Russia sees weakness right now, and they're making a move. These moves weren't being made under Trump's watch. They weren't being made under Trump's watch.
No. Well, look, Putin took Crimea under Obama, and now Biden's in place. I mean, he addressed people today, and he couldn't even read. He was like, "Come on," you know what I'm saying? I mean, this guy. And
come on, man. You know the thing.
And that's what he said. And then to bring Kamala, oh my God, is our country feel safe having Kamala going over there to scare Putin? She's sitting there talking with that fucking mask.
Putin's saying right now, oh my God, camel toe is coming after me. Camel toe is coming after me. If Russia does anything, severe sanctions, severe this. Putin's laughing at her because he knows nothing's going to happen.
She's talking with that fucking mask on. Take the fucking mask off. This is some of the most important information, and that's probably she doesn't want to be heard. She says the same thing. We are doing what we need to do. We're uniting, and together we are uniting. So together we will do the things we need to do together. I mean, shut the fuck. Like,
basic one word saying over and over.
But now,
the thing. But the thing about it is everybody's seeing what's going on and how this country is becoming, and it's scary because people, when someone's weak, and when you're in the ring, you box in the ring. When you got somebody, they could be the toughest guy in the world, and you get them one shot, and they wince a little bit. They're weak, and you come after them. This is the same thing that's going on now. They see what's going on with the transgender people and this and that, and what's going on with everything. And believe me, they're taking notes, man. And they're saying how easy it is to come in and do things. I mean, from this virus with China and everything, they're taking notes and they're saying what they can do. We're gonna have a lot of issues coming up.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. That's what happens when 85 million people vote for a Muppet.
Yep. Well, get into another story. So this is where the country's going, and I don't even like telling this story because it's so sickening and everything. California trans, the guy that was a man and now he wants to be a woman because he's going to go to jail and he doesn't want to get raped as a man, I guess. He's laughing about his life sentence. They caught him on, I think he was on the phone saying, that they only gave me 2 years when I should have got this and that and that. And now he wants to become a woman, I think it is, in prison because, I guess he'll be treated a little bit different. Hopefully not. But, he wants to go with women inmates. I guess with women inmates, he can control himself a little bit better than, 280-pound Smokey on top of him, So we'll see what happens with this, man. I hope he gets what he gets in prison. Hope he gets, a little delivery package. We'll see what happens.
Smokey the Bear's in prison?
Smokey Joe.
Only you can prevent me from spending a hard time.
And there's nothing worse than, seeing a guy that laughs about molesting a child. And there's nothing worse about someone that molests a child and then goes back and does it again. How the fuck do you get back up to do it again? Cut his dick off.
Well, this video, and the news only let us hear that part of it, where he was saying how I'm going to be out in 2 years. I'm not even going to be considered a sexual offender. I'm going to be fine. And if anything ever happens again, I'm out of here. I'm leaving the country. I'm going to bolt if this ever,
Yes.
like he knows he's going to fuck up again. And when he was 17, that photo that we showed in the report, this is when he was 17 going into a Denny's or something. And he basically raped a 12-year-old girl or whatever it was, a young girl. And this breaks down again to the sympathizing and enabling of bad people. Gascon, who's the district attorney in California, a liberal attorney, he's actually there. People looking at this again. The left has pushed this shit, and now the average American's going, "What the fuck? How the hell could the scumbag like this get 2 years in prison?" And he raped a young little girl. Listen, if that was my daughter, I'd wait. I'd be outside the prison when this fucker got out, and I would have a
Oh,
pool cue that I would find a way to, you know what I mean? He would be gone. And
yeah.
there's just no way this person can walk the earth and, knowing what's going on. It's just no way. And this is what you get when you have liberal prosecutors, this George Soros funding of our legal system to try to get these scumbags on the street, to keep chaos
Yep.
going on and to keep our country in this brink of civil war. Because
They're
and that's the
Democrat
thing, it's
voters.
yeah,
That's why they want him
feel
on the
bad for
street. The
I want I think karma would be great. Everybody who feels bad for a criminal that either got shot or beaten up, like I love when they show a cop used too much force while he was arresting a perp. Fuck that. There's never, to me, that's almost not even valid unless the guy, deadly force. But if they're strangling him, they're choking him for a little bit. So what?
Good,
The person wanted to
good.
commit a crime. That's that's what you get.
That's
Even
it.
not even
But
a
nobody
crime.
talk,
Even if I just go off
but
and
nobody
I start popping off to people. You're a fucking asshole. Your wife's ugly as fuck. And if somebody beats the fuck out of me, people are going to go, you fucking deserved it. But these same fucking people, this person's robbing somebody or stealing something and they get hurt. Oh, how could you treat him like that? What the fuck
But
is
no one
wrong
talks.
with you?
Doug, nobody talks about all the police officers that are killed every year. It's such a high number. It's more than criminals actually, and nobody talks about that. And these are people that are just doing their job. They're just and listen. Being police work is a react. It's reaction. Everything's reaction. I did it. Everything's reaction. Okay. So sometimes you're gonna make bad reactions. Sometimes you make good reactions. Like Juwan Howard punched somebody for no reason. This cop is apprehending a criminal, and the same people have no problem with Juwan Howard punching somebody for no reason. Well, they'll have a problem with a cop punching a guy that just tried to
Yeah.
fucking rape a girl or kill a dog or whatever he tried to do. This scumbag,
Yeah.
And the problem, like we said, nobody talks about the victims on the other side. The police, they get killed every day. When there's no memorial, there's no statue for them. There's no
Right.
statue of a famous police officer. No, they've demonized police so bad that nobody gives a fuck when they die. When a police officer gets killed, nobody cares because they've demonized them, and they're demonizing them in the school systems right now. It's terrible between critical race theory and what's going on, how they're teaching about the police officers and everything. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. If you're a parent out there, make sure you find out what your kids are learning. It's your job.
Yeah.
It's your job to find out what your kids are learning in school. Because I'll tell you right now, they're learning the wrong thing, especially
Yeah.
if they go to school in California or New York. Your kids or Maryland, your kids are learning the wrong thing. So find out what they're teaching your kids. You'll be surprised. Go
But
ahead.
in San Francisco, they already recalled a few of their school board members,
Yeah.
and because they're not doing, they're fucking, you talk about, career criminals, political criminals. These people sitting on these school boards are fucking useless.
Oh,
And
no, no.
like you're saying, you better pay attention to what's happening to your kid. They had the one mom who went there, and the lady was talking about mask mandates. Meanwhile, the mom went to the school board member's Facebook page and pulled out a bunch of photos of her in social settings without a fucking mask. And she flips her gourd. No, you get off. How dare you? And she leaves like a fucking child. Leaves like you're seeing, what you're witnessing, and you'll continue to witness more and more adults acting like children when
Yeah.
they're called out, because it's that
Yeah, 'cause they
fucking
have no answers.
ridiculous.
Doug, they have no answers. And that's all the time. If you ever argue with a liberal person, because I believe me, that's what I do for a living, and I love it. I enjoy it, the shit out of it. If you argue, it always comes down to two words every time because you win. You win the conversation because it's so easy to beat a liberal, and it's so easy. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's like fighting a 9-year-old. Okay, it's the easiest thing because they have no concept of anything. They can't tell you why they like somebody. They can't tell you a rule they like. They can't tell you why they don't like. They can't tell you anything. So what happens is after you demolish them, because they get demolished because they're idiots, they really are. And once you demolish them, it's always two words: you're racist. racist. It always comes out to you're racist. You could say, you know what, everybody's equal. I think this, that. I think you're racist because they can't win an argument. And when you can't win an
Right.
argument, that's your drop mic. That's your drop mic, and that's all they have. They're,
Yeah, you
I,
what you said earlier, the hypocrisy is correct. I won't mention anybody, but whenever they show these videos of police violence and stuff, they show the person being taken down. I usually say, well, can we see what happened beforehand? Can we
yeah.
see? Can we see we're in part of this context? And that the same person one time, one particular with this Jawan Howard, a couple of years ago, this person says, "Why do you want to see that? Can't you see what the hell just happened?" And this same person just yesterday with this Jawan Howard says, "Well, what did the coach say to him?" I go, "Hey, man, now all of a sudden, now you care about context. Now you care. If it's based on what you said just 2 years ago, the video, it speaks for itself. The video
Well, Doug,
speaks for itself."
real quick, I'm gonna tell a quick story, and I might have said it last if I did stop me, but I guess in a Chipotle about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I don't know if we talked about the last show, a woman told these two African Americans, they came in, we're not serving you here, you need to leave. So all they did with the people is they filmed, we're not serving you, you have to leave. That was it. That's all they filmed. Okay, and they put it on the internet and everything, and everybody's, holy shit, the KKK. And she was a Spanish woman that said that. They're members of the KKK. She's racist. She needs to go to jail. Now here's the whole story. And they found out the whole story. She lost her job. She lost her job. She was a manager. Now here's the whole story. The same three African Americans that came in the place robbed the place with Dine and Dash. You know about Dine and Dash. They ordered a
Right.
whole bunch of food and they didn't go to the register and they walked out. And they did it to several places. She spotted them. Okay. She called the cops the last time, and the cops didn't come because they said it's a misdemeanor. It's only $40 worth of fucking burritos. They don't give a fuck.
Right.
Okay. So she didn't want it to happen again. So she just said, instead of getting a confrontation, you need to leave. That's it. So they had that 10 seconds video, and this poor girl, they had death threats, and she lost her job. So Chipotle got the whole story because someone had filmed the whole thing. There you go. Someone had
Yeah.
filmed the whole thing and showed the whole video on the internet. Showed the whole video. So Chipotle said, "Listen, we'll give you your job." And she went like this. Hold on a second. I got some in my right pocket for you. Oh, here it is. Oh, I got some in my left pocket. Here's the other one. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I'm
sue the
suing you.
fuck out
So
of
now
them.
she's
Yeah.
suing them. So now she's suing, and I hope she wins because that's the problem. You only and that at Chipotle, what they should have done, especially if they knew this girl wasn't racist, they should have said, "Let me investigate this before we
Yeah.
fire you and make a laughing stock out of you across the world." Let me defend you. Let me try and defend my employee. That's my manager. Let me try and
Right.
defend her. But no, this was in California, and you don't defend anybody in California because they don't defend anybody. They eat their own.
That these
So
people just bend to the mob. And we were hoping that this would change when you had that happen with Dave Chappelle, when
yeah,
Netflix stood behind him and there were money talk, like Rogan money talks, and but for this poor woman, and good for her for standing up for
it's
herself and
freedom.
saying fuck you,
Yep,
you know.
yep, yep.
And you know what? I mean, it's going to come to the point. I believe it. Like police officers wear cams. You have the shit in your
Yeah.
car. It's going to come to a point where you're going to have to wear one on you, right? So that you're being that way. If somebody accuses you of something, like, well, here's the last hour and a half of my dialogue that was all recorded, and you tell me, and then there should be recourse. It's like when somebody accused, like the old stories about somebody wrongfully accusing somebody of rape, and then they can press charges on that person. Wrongful. There's actually something called wrongful prosecution, which you can file suit for. So
And Doug,
if some
if you do that, Doug, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you do that, you'll have less accusations. You'll have real accusations because it's not worth the time. You wouldn't just listen, the problem is where you can make up a story and say, Doug did this to me and Doug did this to me and whatever, because there's no repercussions. Okay. When there's none of that, you can do whatever you want. Now, if there is, and I said, Doug did this, and I found out Doug didn't do that, and you have to fucking sit in that jail for a little while, you might not say Doug did it again,
Yeah, I believe so. I think that wrongful prosecution is going to have to happen when people like these people that got fired. They should that's a case done. You got fired. I don't care what you offered. That Wells Fargo offered my job back to me after they fucked up, and I told them this. I did the same thing. Go fuck yourself. Go work for you guys. So I mean, it's good that she did that, but too many people getting caught. A good friend of mine, comic, is working, and he posted that because he's a Republican, he's a Trump guy, and some of these trolls contacted the club that he's working at, and they tried to get him fired. And thank goodness the club owner said "fuck you," you know what I mean, didn't stick by it. So and these people, I don't know. I think we should create a hit squad of people that go after these mob members, like a secret group of people that just find these trolls and then just hang them from fucking telephone poles.
Well, I'll tell you what they're doing right now, Doug. That's kind of cool, and I kind of like it. I go on. I'm on TikTok all the time. I have a little following there, and I do videos and stuff. But I see these videos now of these people that are catching child molesters, and what they're doing is they're going on the internet, and they're in their 20s and 30s. The people that are doing it online, pretending to be young people, young children, and stuff, and they're catching them in like Home Depots and stuff. Just not police officers, just random people, and they're catching them and they're filming them. Say, hey, this is John L. Smith. He's a firefighter. I called him. I set this up, and here he is. You got something to say? And I like that. See, that I like. That justice I like, because you're showing the people that are doing bad crimes. These are real
The only
people.
thing is you got to be careful, because if you dox a person, like I don't agree 100% with doxing somebody. I saw somebody recently post something because somebody made a comment about let's say trannies or something like that. The guy was emailing or somebody sent something, and the person now trying to ruin their life, by showing this is where they work, this is who they are. And the problem is their error there. That's the thing. This mob rule shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think if somebody accuses you of something,
I'll tell you what, this one's different, Doug, because these people, they've done these crimes. They have logs of them. They say, here's the log. Let me show you the log. Let me show you what you did. And these people are not saying, who the fuck you? Get away from me. They're like, and they're trying to get in the car and drive away. If somebody says, listen, I caught you as a pedophile, it's like, I'll knock the fuck out of you. Who are you? But these people aren't saying that. So these people are guilty. So these are real guilty people that we need. Listen, I have no problem with people really policing for bad people. I mean, I don't want any child molesters on the street. There's no reason for any of them at all.
Not at all.
All right. So getting back to, we were talking about the trans molester only got 2 years, whatever it was. Here's a person. Now here's justice. And I don't even think it's complete justice, but I think it's justice. Okay. Kim Potter, they gave her 22 years, which was ridiculous. She made a mistake just like anybody else. And she made a mistake with a criminal. She didn't make a mistake with somebody on the side of the street. It's a woman that did 26 years, never been in trouble one time, has letter recommendations, did a great job, everything she's ever done. And she had a lot of adrenaline going, and she pulled the wrong weapon out. I don't think she should have got any time at all, to be honest with you. I think she should have lost her job and been reprimanded. I think reprimanded because you didn't do the right thing. But she made a mistake. People make mistakes all the time. People have DUIs all the time. They don't get 22 years. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's murderers that don't get 22 years. I watch Forensic Files. They get 10 years for murder. So the 22 years to 2 years was a very good decision. Very good decision. I still think it's a little too much time, but I could deal with 22 too. Good for the justice system to figure out they made a mistake and to fix it. So good job, guys.
Well, she was negligent in her actions based on taking life. Yes, number one. 100%. Number two, so 100%. That it was, No, but here's the thing. What's interesting in this is it definitely changes, right? Like when you talk about that case, here's somebody who he had a warrant, right? The kid had a warrant against him, and that's why he fled. He's a criminal, and he fled. So when there's a warrant with somebody, and they're armed or they have this type of background, you're higher, right? You're obviously on higher guard. You're a little more in a position where these types of things can happen. And to me, negligence started when the guy fought and resisted the cop. You know what I mean? When that occurs, the minute somebody breaks away and tries to get away, and they grab the taser, they grab the gun, he's a fucking criminal. And you know what? And so that. Again, that's why, it's good from 20 something. That was ridiculous to 2 years. Yeah. I agree with that. They did, but she's that one. And she suffered because that was that's the public court of opinion. She wasn't going to get off in this day and age with everything going on. The Aubrey case, they just found today, I guess, that those 3 white guys, those bubbleheads, were now found guilty of a hate crime because they were able to prove that they think what they did was based on race. And Whoopi Goldberg said that wasn't about race, but it was. And, everything's, it's amazing. Everything's a different story. Every story that happens has its own content, has its own.
Differently.
Everything's different. It's like I've had one time years ago, somebody says, oh, you always defend the cop. No, I don't. I don't always defend the cop. I don't defend the cop. If the cop does something wrong, I say, I was fucked up. By the way, somebody even came out recently, one of the police officers said that the hold that was used on Floyd was the hold that they used on George Floyd was not that bad. Like cop came out and said, if you have a hardened criminal and somebody that's resistant and big dude, George Floyd was a small dude, you can put your fucking knee on his back. You can't hold the fucker down. because too many
And
comms, too many.
if you didn't hold him down, you didn't hold him down. He'd probably get out, and you'd have some issues with him. I mean, this guy was a
Never
career
know.
criminal, and
Never know.
this guy probably had no problem putting a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. I'm sure he'd have no problem stealing a gun and shooting a cop. And let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I think the fentanyl and the COVID had a little something to do with it too. So, but the guy's in prison. The Chauvin is an idiot because he's being filmed, and at that point, he should have gotten his knee off him, which I agree. I think he got a harsh sentence. I really do. I don't think it was a hate crime. I don't think it was. I think it was a crime. I just don't think it was a hate crime. I think it was a negligence crime. But unfortunately, he had a lot of cameras on him. And now George Floyd's family's got a lot of money, and they got a statue. So, and this guy's sitting rotting in jail. What are you going to do? That was a real bad mistake. Kim Potter was a whole different story. She was put in a situation where she made a bad decision. She's never made bad decisions before. She's been a cop for 26 years, and they did the right thing. That being said, Doug, I think we're over time. I think it was a pretty good show, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're pretty serious today. This wasn't our funniest of shows, but it was,
No, it's okay. You don't have to be funny on everything,
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good show, and we got some good information out, and we tried to keep to a 30-minute format. But every 2 weeks we're doing this, guys. Listen, if you like the show, please watch it. Don't be afraid to comment. We like comments, good or bad. We'll come back.
Share the show. Share the video. If you enjoyed it, share it. Share the video with your friends.
Share it, man. Definitely share it. And we're growing every day. We love the show. It's very enjoyable, and we get to vent and say what we want to say. And Doug, what do you got going on?
Oh man, I'm home this week. I'm doing a show in Anderson, South Carolina, which is sold out at the Palmetto Distillery. On Saturday, though, I'm going to be in Rockingham, North Carolina, at the Double Visions Club nightclub, headlining that room. And I'm pretty excited because I was in a weird mood and stuff like that. But Looney Bin in Oklahoma City has just bumped me to headliner.
Nice, man. Nice.
I'll be headlining there in June 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I think it is. I was so excited. Yeah, it's good timing. I was sitting there like, and then I got that email. I'm like, I recognize.
That's a good gig, man. And that's a pretty good gig. That's a nice gig. That's good, man.
It's nice to get bumped. You deserve it.
Hey, listen, you put your time and effort into it. It wasn't white privilege. You didn't get it because of that. You put your time and effort. You started. I watched you in the beginning, Doug. You started the little small places with the 4 or 5 people in it, and some of your jokes were good, some were bad, and then as you progressed, you got good, bro. You became a professional. You did. I mean, in the beginning, you're gonna tell me in the beginning you were great.
No,
you did.
I watch videos. No. It's funny. I watch videos from my first when you thought were funny. You watch a video and then you're like, you watch it now. You're like, oh my God, throw that shit away.
It was terrible. Yeah, I mean, you progressed without a doubt because you put hard work in. You didn't, you put hard. Listen, you put hard work in. It works out sometimes. I started out doing what I do. You start out small and you get big, and that's how life works, bro. You put time in, you put effort, and that equals to success. That's the formula, man. That's the formula. Everybody, me, I'm just doing what I do, buy, sell baseball cards, man, and bring stuff in, man. We're always buying. 418 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. If you got some stuff, we actually grade cards now. So if you have some valuables or cards that are valuable, we can put them in slabs and grade them for you. So we have a lot of services right now. Everybody else, enjoy what you do. Peace out, man. And 2 weeks, we'll be back. So enjoy. Boom.
Take care.